Shalom everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the Israel Brief with me, Rolene Marks, where we gather every Monday to Thursday to take a look at the top stories making the headlines in Israel. I appreciate you guys so much, especially now, because war is not just fought kinetically on the battlefield, but we are also fighting a massive misinformation and disinformation war to the point now where it is costing people their lives. As always, the Israel Brief is brought to you in conjunction with Lay of the Land, and if you would like to receive our weekly newsletter, please be in touch with us via our website or social media to subscribe. There is no newsletter this week because of Shavuot. In fact, around the world at the moment, it is still Shavuot for our diaspora communities, but in Israel, we only mark one day. I do warn you, I probably will get on my soapbox again because I have a lot to say given the events of the last couple of days, but I know that I'm in good company. Just a reminder, today is day 606. Since the 7th of October, we are closing in on commemorating 20 months since the atrocities of the 7th of October that most around the world have forgotten has happened. On the 7th of October, Hamas and other terror entities infiltrated the south of Israel and murdered, maimed, raped and kidnapped over 1,200 people, of which now 58 hostages remain captive in the Gaza Strip. We know at least 20 of them are confirmed alive. We worry terribly for the fate of 3 of them: a Nepalese national, a Thai national, and an Israeli national. And 35 of them were murdered, either in captivity or on the 7th of October, and their corpses taken captive, with the exception of Hadar Golden, who fell in battle in Operation Protective Edge in 2014, and his corpse taken captive and held in Gaza. We want them all home now. Regardless of where you stand on the war, this is not about supporting any government policy. This is about saying we want all of our hostages home now. World leaders have forgotten about them, NGOs have forgotten about them, social justice warriors have forgotten about them. We will not forget about them until every single one of them is home. So with that, let's start with the top stories, and we turn our attention to the United States. Now, if you have been on social media since the 7th of October, you will have heard cries for globalizing the Intifada. Intifada is the Arabic word for uprising. And for Israelis, this takes us back to 1987 and years around that, and the year 2001, where we saw Intifada on our doorstep, which meant that Israelis were blown up in cafes, slaughtered in the streets by suicide bombers, on buses, in cafes, and in various other terror activities. Now, a call to globalize the Intifada means to take this, the killing of Jews, global. Several weeks ago, we saw 2 Israeli embassy staff in Washington, D.C. be slaughtered: Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram of blessed memory. On Saturday in Boulder, Colorado, a group from the Jewish community who gather every single Saturday with pictures of the hostages, with the odd Israeli flag and with American flags, to call peacefully for the return of the hostages, were firebombed by a illegal immigrant called Muhammad Suleiman from Egypt. He threw Molotov cocktails at them, injuring 12, including an 88-year-old Holocaust survivor. Try to imagine surviving the worst atrocity against mankind in history, only to be firebombed by a Molotov cocktail by a lunatic who was screaming, "End all Zionists and free Palestine." Now, the vast majority of Jews, over 95% of us, are Zionist. You don't have to be Jewish to be Zionist. But what Zionism is, simply put, is the belief in the existence of the state of Israel and the right of the Jewish people to return to their ancestral and biblical homeland, the land of Israel, which is now the state of Israel. It is not occupation, it is not apartheid, and it is not any other pejorative that is leveled at Israel or the Jewish people by the haters out there. And it is not any specific government policy. At least 12 people were injured, ranging from ages about 52 to 88. Suleiman was swiftly arrested by the Boulder police, and the FBI did not hesitate to call this what it is, a terror attack. Of course, if you watched CNN or watched the sheriff of Boulder, they were very loath to use the words terror attack or anti-Semitic attack. Suleiman, who appeared in court on a variety of charges, including attempted murder, said that he had planned this attack for over a year. Meanwhile, President Herzog held a solidarity call with members of the Jewish community from Boulder, and the United States' ambassador to Israel, Ambassador Mike Huckabee, blamed the international media, specifically the US media, for perpetuating blood libels, for parroting whatever Hamas says, in order to create a climate of hate where we see this happening, where lunatics out there feel justified to commit these atrocities against Jews. This is not the first incident in now 20 months where Jews have been hurt and in some cases killed. When does it end? We are begging, I think I did this last week and the week before, we are begging of our allies, please, please do not be silent. I know so many of you are intimidated by what you are seeing, by the rhetoric that you are hearing. We need you. We need your voices now more than ever. Please raise your voices. Please stand with us and join us in saying enough is enough. It ends now. On the subject of that, let's get to the issue of humanitarian aid. And we've certainly heard from world leaders about aid needing to go into Gaza, but what they don't address is that there are 58 hostages, 21 or so of them, who are starving and tortured and rotting in the dungeons of Gaza. The Gaza Humanitarian Fund announced today that they would be opening an additional aid distribution point in the north of Gaza in order to get aid to the north. Now, what we have seen in the last couple of days since the GHF is distributing aid, this is a mechanism that sees Israel and the US give aid directly to civilians in Gaza who need it, bypassing Hamas and excluding Hamas from the distribution chain. Because Hamas were looting the aid. Hamas were hijacking the aid and reselling it to the people in Gaza at exorbitant prices, to the point that Gazans don't believe that the aid is free, because they haven't been given that free aid in the last now nearly 20 months. But what we are seeing is Hamas putting out this narrative on a daily basis, saying so many people were killed, Israeli tanks killed here, and the mainstream media, and in particular CNN, Sky News, and the BBC running with this Hamas narrative, and Piers Morgan as well. Piers Morgan, I hold you just as culpable. Now, the GHF on the last couple of days have issued statements that aid is being distributed without incident. In fact, drone footage that was released by the IDF just yesterday showed that if anyone was opening fire, it was Hamas gunmen. But the GHF have been able to distribute their aid unimpeded. Now, earlier today, the IDF again denied accusations that they opened fire at Gazans and killed several, saying that warning shots were fired close by in order to ensure that civilians did not leave the designated safe zones to receive aid, but no one was hurt or killed. The GHF also confirmed that just today, 21 aid trucks went in with 27,000 boxes that included 7 million meals. 7 million meals, that is just today. However, we still have the New York Times, the BBC, Sky News, Reuters, Piers Morgan, and others perpetuating this narrative that Israeli troops are opening fire. By doing this, you are creating the climate of hate that allows for Jewish people to be hurt and even killed all around the world. Stop it now before more of us are killed. In the thousands of years of Jewish history, the Jews being blamed for the ills of the world is nothing new. We would have thought that people had learned from blood libels of the past, like the sacrificing of children or the blood of children being used to bake matzah. All this does is takes on a new iteration from generation to generation. It is not a joke. We are not your ratings or clickbait football. Our lives are at stake. Stop it now before more of us are killed. Israel will not send negotiators to Qatar following Hamas's request to change the Witkoff proposal. However, Israeli officials are emphatic that negotiations for a ceasefire and for the release of our hostages is still ongoing. Last week, Hamas sent back their amendments to the Witkoff proposal, which Witkoff, the special envoy to the Middle East, called absolutely unacceptable. And finally, you really couldn't make this up, but the Freedom Flotilla, a diesel boat on board of which you can count Greta Thunberg, the climate activist, although I guess she's over her climate fetish, she has now moved on to something else. The former Game of Thrones actor Liam Cunningham, who played Sir Davos. I mean, I'm hoping for another Battle of Blackwater. Game of Thrones fans would catch that reference. They have set sail to, quote unquote, end the siege on Gaza. Somebody didn't send them the memo that not only has any siege or blockade ended, but they might want to have a little chat with Egypt as well. So aboard this very small vessel, where photographs have been released of Greta enjoying a cocktail at sunset aboard the Freedom Flotilla, it appears they are aiming to end the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, one cocktail at a time. One just wonders on a tiny boat how much humanitarian aid they are carrying. How many baked beans can you fit on a small diesel vessel? Anyway, I digress. You guys, you really couldn't make this up. Let me calm down and take the audience question, and it comes from Gerald in London, who says, the Arab papers say Hamas have lost control in the Gaza Strip. Do you agree? Well, it's an interesting question, Gerald, and thank you for asking, because this is generally believed. This has been put out by the Saudi dailies. Not only have we seen it confirmed that Mohammed Sinwar, the brother of Yahya Sinwar, was eliminated, and another replacement has been named. His name is Izzadin, although We are sure he will be Wazadin. But you can certainly see by Hamas dialing up the rhetoric that the IDF is killing so many here, so many there on a daily basis. That is Hamas's getting frantic and pushing that propaganda, that strategy that has worked so well for them of high civilian casualty numbers. And unfortunately, I mean, you would have thought the mainstream media would have learned by now. Sadly, they haven't, and they are intent on pushing and pushing and pushing this propaganda. But you can actually see by Hamas being so quick off the mark to keep on pushing this, that they are losing control. By negating Hamas's role in the distribution of aid, the Americans and the Israelis have cut Hamas or cut back their ability to control the population of Gaza, who are going with their own feet to receive their aid. And that is undercutting Hamas's power. So I believe that Hamas's days of ruling the Gaza Strip are hopefully coming to an end. So those are top stories. I'm going to climb off my soapbox and remind you that you can check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our Facebook page, as always, is at Lottle's site. Our YouTube channel is at the Israel Brief. We are on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, on Instagram at Rolene_Marks, and on X at Lay of the Land 5. And guys, as we always say, if you like our content, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. That's it from me for today. I will see you again tomorrow. God bless, and bye for now.